Hello everybody, welcome to another video, and as you can probably tell, I'm a little bit sick, and for some reason today I woke up and I sound like I have a chainsaw in my throat, so this is gonna be fun. But anyway, today I want to go over all the pet mods that were added with Abyss of Dagath. There are 14 of these in total, and they're available from 3 different vendors. The first vendor is Master Artisanai in Cetus, and he will sell you Restorative, Manifold, Covert, Tandem, and Mystic Bond. The second one is Business in Fortuna, and he sells Astro, Tenacious, Momentus, Aerial, and Reinforced. And the final one is the Sun in the Necralisk, and he sells Vicious, Seismic, Contagious, and Duplex. And let's start off with Tandem Bond. Companion melee hits increase your combo by 6. Heavy attacks increase companion melee damage by 30%, multiplied by your combo multiplier for 30 seconds. The best thing about this one is that it works with things like Swipe. So if you use a Dagath with Swipe, every enemy the Dagath hits with Swipe will give you 6 combo hits. So all in all, a fairly decent mod for heavy attack builds because it's gonna give you some extra combo generation and it's gonna give your pet more damage. Up next, we have Covert Bond. Finishers and mercy kills grant your companion 10 seconds of stealth that attacks will not disrupt. Now, this actually stacks, so you can give your pet upwards of 60 seconds of invisibility. This is pretty good if you want to add a bit of extra survivability for your pet. However, while the enemies will not target them directly, they can still get hit with AoE. Next on the menu, we have Mystic Bond. After your companion uses abilities with cooldown 5 times, you may cast a Warframe ability without expending energy. This one is pretty straightforward, so after your pet uses an ability that has a cooldown 5 times, you get a buff called Mystic Bond that will negate the cost of your next Warframe power. Up next, we have Restorative Bond. This makes health orbs restore 60 more health and reduce companion recovery by 3 seconds. This is gonna be decent, I think, with Warframes that can generate a lot of health orbs, like Necros for example with his Desecrate. It should also be nice for equilibrium, because if the health orb restores more health, it should restore more energy. I actually forgot to test that. Next on the list is Aerial Bond. Airborne kills decrease companion recovery by 3 seconds or 9 seconds if it was a headshot kill. And when you jump into the air, your pet will generate a 10-meter aura that slows enemies by up to 35% based on how long you were in the air for, and this lasts for 3 seconds after you land. This is actually an interesting effect, and it synergizes really well with aviator setups. Also, the revive portion of this isn't the worst thing in the world, and if you're a good shot and you can sprinkle some headshot kills in there, you can revive your pet pretty fast. Next on the menu is Astro Bond. Damage dealt by Operator or Drifter grants 120% void damage to your companion's attacks for 10 seconds, and in return, companion void damage adds 30% amp and energy efficiency to Operator or Drifter for 5 seconds. This can actually add a nice chunk of extra damage to the pet, and in return, you get a bit of a buff to your Operator or Drifter as well, so overall pretty cool. Then we have Momentus Bond. Killing Eximus enemies grants 120% bonus of a random elemental damage type to your companion for 30 seconds, and it reduces companion recovery by 18 seconds. Now this again adds a chunk of extra damage to the pet, and it unfortunately doesn't stack, so you can only have one instance of this 120% damage buff up at any given time. But what's actually kind of nice is the recovery portion, because you basically just need to kill 3 Eximus units and your pet is back. Next up, we have Reinforced Bond. If the companion exceeds 1200 max shields or overshields, your fire rate is increased by 60%. Also, whenever you reload, your pet gets 150 overshields. Now this is really strong, considering that one of the best ways to multiply your damage after you have a full build is adding extra fire rate. And on a similar note, we have Tenacious Bond. This reduces your companion's recovery timer by 3 seconds whenever you get a headshot kill, but more importantly, if your companion's crit chance is over 50%, you get an extra 1.2 times final crit damage multiplier. This I think is gonna be one of the more popular ones, especially on a Darza Dagath. Then comes my favorite Bond mod of the bunch, Duplex. Your companion will clone itself every time you spend 100 energy. These clones last 30 seconds and cannot use abilities, but their kills have a 50% chance of dropping an energy orb. This just poops out a clone of your pet whenever you spend 100 energy that kind of does its own thing and attacks nearby enemies. Though I don't think you're gonna be getting a lot of energy orbs through this, because generally you're the one that does all the killing. Next up, we have Seismic Bond. While a channeled ability is active on you, companion melee attacks create a 4-meter shockwave that does 30% of their melee damage. Additionally, every time your pet does damage, you get 3% power efficiency for 12 seconds, and this stacks up to 10 times. This one's actually really cool if you run a channeled ability, so an ability that you toggle and it drains energy, something like Exalted Blade. Up next is Vicious Bond. Companions melee attacks strip 15% of enemy armor. Enemies recently damaged by abilities spread the effect to other enemies within 9 meters. Now, this isn't terribly useful on Kavats because they can run Sharpened Claws, but for Kubros and Predicites, this is actually kind of nice because the armor strip stacks. So given enough time, the pet will eventually strip away all the armor. And we're slowing it in the end with Contagious Bond. When your companion kills an enemy afflicted with a status effect, 50% of the status effect spreads to other enemies within 9 meters. I am honestly not a big fan of this one because anything that relies on the pet killing stuff is just not going to work well. Because, like I've said already, generally you're the one that does all the killing, not the pet. And finally, we have Manifold Bond. Companion precept mods apply status effects from companion weapons. Killing enemies with 3 or more unique status effects reduces companion ability cooldowns by 3 seconds. This is actually kind of interesting because it procs all the status effects from the weapon. So if I put Blast Shield on Bigger Snickers and give him a weapon that does Impact, Puncture and Vital, every time he leaps in for a Blast Shield, he will proc Impact, Puncture and Vital on all enemies hit. So that's really good on its own, but also the cooldown recovery is pretty strong because even if you're running a Vital Slash setup, you're gonna get some Impact or Puncture procs on there, so the cooldown recovery actually fires off a lot. And that is it for all the new Bond mods. My god, my throat really hurts, so I'm gonna go make a cup of tea with honey. I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, let me know what you think about these new Bond mods in the comment section down below. And finally, I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.